Hi, we're going to talk a little bit about responding to and reporting cases of abuse or potential suicide in the young people that you work with. Both of these topics are really heavy topics and it's hard to talk about, but they are so sadly part of the reality of many young people's lives. And if we're going to be people who truly step into their lives as adults who care about them in every respect, we need to be ready to respond in ways that help them walk through this very difficult time in their life. Child abuse comes in many different forms, and it can be confusing for a volunteer or a staff person to discern what is really happening in a young person's life. But what you need to know and what you need to be sure of is that Youth Unlimited and you as a volunteer do not tolerate harm or abuse or neglect in any form in a young person's life. And that God doesn't tolerate it either. It's against the laws of the land, but it's also against God's laws. And as people who believe in young people and support them, we need to stand up in favor of them. Abuse takes a lot of different forms. There can be sexual abuse and physical abuse, emotional abuse, psychological abuse, and sometimes it can be difficult to try to be the lawyer or the detective figuring out what has really happened. But that's not your job. Your job is to listen. And if you suspect that a young person is telling you about abuse or neglect that has happened in their life in the past and has been unreported up until this time, your job is to be the one who makes sure that someone knows about it. In the case of you as a volunteer, it's your supervisor that needs to know about it first. And your Youth Unlimited supervisor will then take the time to call the proper authorities and let them know about what we suspect is happening in that child's home. If you've had a conversation with a young person and they're hinting that something may have happened that they feel uncomfortable about, but they would like to tell you, but they want to be sure you're going to keep it a secret, at that point you need to be very clear. And you need to let them know that you actually won't ever hold on to a secret that would be harmful to them or someone else. That's the most loving way that you can respond to that. And you need to let them know that because you care about them, you will do what needs to be done to keep them safe. Sometimes young people will then choose not to disclose to you, but the reality is that time and time again, young people still go right ahead because they want to be heard. They want to be protected, and they want to know that there are adults in their lives who think they're valuable enough to step into the situation and to keep them safe. If a young person is talking to you about abuse, they may be talking about a variety of things. This is what the definition of abuse is: a non-accidental physical or mental injury of mistreatment by the actions or omissions of the child's parent, guardian, or adult influences in their life. Legally, it is against the law to not report abuse or suspicion of abuse. It actually comes in the province of BC with a jail term and possible fine. We need to know this is serious, and we need to know that we don't just take it seriously because of the legality. We take it seriously because we care about young people. When you're working with Youth Unlimited, if there's a reason to suspect that a child is in need of protection, you are obliged to have a conversation with the supervisor, letting them know what you have heard. The supervisor will then call the Ministry of Children and Family, and what they will do is they will follow up on that allegation. You need to know that it's not your job to go and to confront the parents to find out what's happening, to be the detective, but it is your job to make sure that someone knows. Frankly speaking, the people from the ministry will not necessarily just converge on the child's home and rip them out of the home and take them off to some other secret place. That's not the way things are done. These people care, the social workers care about families. They care about keeping families together. And their first course of action is always to see what kind of supports they can bring into that family. As a youth worker who cares about this young person, that needs to be part of what you do too. Can you support the parents in some way so that they can do a better job of caring for their child? Is there any sort of resources in the community that you can connect this young person or family to? Talk with your supervisor about that, because that can be part of the solution. One other thing that you will find you may need to respond to is young people who are talking about killing themselves. Suicide is a really serious topic, and it breaks my heart when I hear people say, oh, they're just trying to get attention. That's why they're saying that. Well, you know what? If a young person is desperate enough for attention to talk about killing themselves, maybe we should give them some attention. Maybe that's a sign we're just not listening enough. We need to take every threat of suicide for what it is. It's a call for help. And it's a young person saying that whatever is going on in their life has become unmanageable to them. There's a video on the Life Team's website, and there's a link right beneath this that will tell you how to get there. And that video walks you through the steps of responding to a young person who has told you that they may be thinking of killing themselves. We want you to take a look at that now, because that will walk you through some really important and very simple responses to this situation. There's also one other thing we want you to know about. Right underneath, there's also a telephone number for the Kids Helpline. This is a service across Canada, and it's manned by social workers regionally. What they do is they are there for you as a youth worker and for the young people you work with. They're there to give support, information, resources, and answer questions. If you're talking with a young person and you're thinking, I'm really not sure what it is they're saying right now, I think they might be hinting at abuse or suicide, the Kids Helpline is a great place to call. And you can just say, I'm a youth worker, I'm wondering if you could give me some guidance in this situation. It's also a fantastic place to refer the kids that you work with to. They can call and talk confidentially to someone about the situation in their life. They may not be really willing to disclose to you about what's going on, but they may be willing to disclose to a faceless person on the other side of the phone. So let them know about this number. Let them know the resources that are available. Most importantly, with both of these situations, take the young person seriously. Don't be questioning and trying to find holes in their story, but take them seriously and respond seriously. Make sure that if a young person is talking to you or hinting about things of abuse or things of suicide, don't overreact, but do react. Make sure they know that they are heard and cared for. Treat the information as a fact. And lastly, give them some emotional support and spiritual support by asking if you could pray. Pray over what's going on in their lives and let them know you will continue praying about this. And then check back with them. Check back with them so that they will know that you didn't just hear and forget, but that you heard and cared. Never let a young person believe that what they have said to you is not valuable, but instead let them know that they are valuable. Not just because you like them or you're volunteering here, but because they're created by a God who loves them and knows their name, and everything that happens in their life is important to Him. The last thing is, be sure that you keep all the information that a young person gives you confidential. This is important to them, and this is not public information. Beyond reporting it to your supervisor, you don't need to be talking about it with the other kids or other volunteers. That's some heavy information about abuse and about suicide. It's important topics. Be sure that if some of this is coming up in your conversations with young people, you're having conversations with your supervisor at Youth Unlimited and letting them walk with you through this.